So in your new project for this week of the 16 original icons on a grid, we're covering so many things. You're going to be looking at the pen tool, you're going to be looking at inserting images, and you're also going to keep incorporating everything that you've been thinking about in terms of creating a grid. What's really important when you create the grid? The figure-ground relationship. Think about the negative space as well. So we're going to just keep using everything that we've been doing and keep adding more things. Here's just some examples of how you can take a simple layout and express it differently with all of these different grid structures. So that's what I want you to think about. This is going to be a very large project. It's 11 by 17 inches, and that's so you could print it out, and this could be a really great portfolio piece. So I have a lot of the requirements here on Blackboard. It has to be 16 icons that you create. I want a grid structure. The paragraph text must be justified and Roman hanging punctuation, and I'll be going over all these things. So over here in Illustrator, here's a past student example. So her icons are all animals, and the icons are great. You can really see the grid structure. You can see the clear paragraph. It's justified text left and right. What's the problem here? The negative space. So the icons are great, but this is really kind of this awkward negative space here. It just, asymmetry is good, but this is not balanced. There really needs to be a little bit of weight here to balance what's going on over here. So one way that this could be altered would be to just move some of this down here. I did a version where I corrected it. Here's another way it could be altered. I made the paragraph text spread the whole span of all of these columns. I am also using the Roman punctuation, which I will go over, but that is when any hyphenations or commas, semicolons, periods, all those things, so on and so forth, actually come outside of the right side justification. So you can see I have my clear line of my text, and then the comma and the hyphen goes outside it. So that's called Roman hanging punctuation. So in this example, I shifted it around, so there's still plenty of negative space. It goes this way, but this is more balanced. I also changed the text to be slightly larger and black, because in this text, this is a difficult color to read on the white background. This would work if there was maybe like a colored box behind it or some shading. It's a light color, but it's also all bold. I highly recommend avoiding a paragraph of text that's all bold. It's the equivalent of someone yelling at you. But the other thing is, in terms of graphic design, when everything is bold, the individual words lose their own hierarchy. So it actually is more difficult to read. Bold for a heading or a subheading is absolutely great, and that's how we can create dominance and hierarchy, but not for a whole paragraph. Okay? So icons are good. There is a clear column grid structure, but in terms of negative space, a little strange. She's also not using Roman, the hanging punctuation, and this is bold. So here, these are on Blackboard. Here's the corrected version. So one of the first things I'm going to go over, and I've just started mine up here. All I have is my 11 by 17 inch, is how do you add an image and what could you do to create an icon if you had an image. Now icons are simple line drawings. Here's another past student example. He created them all large over here and then transferred them on. This is from when it had to be 27. For the 6-week class, it's only 17. So you guys have a little bit easier. But icons are simple line drawings. So we generally stay away from shading and just use flat colors and outlines. So back to mine over here. I'm going to talk first about how to add an image. I'm going to go to File, Place to add the image. And I'm going to browse, and I have an image called Strawberry, which I misspelled. There it is. And I'll hit Place. So it's kind of here just like following my cursor around. If I click, it brings it in at its original size. And here it is. I'm just going to do that again. If I do File, Place again, find my misspelled strawberry. Where's my strawberry? This time I'm going to draw out a space, and then it places it in. So it's always referencing my original file, just so you know, but that's a way that either I could, if I just click, it brings it in its original size. If I already know I want to scale it down, I could draw out the space. Now if you look on Blackboard, your icons do have a specific size they have to be, which doesn't mean necessarily you have to like create a box, but you're going to space that out with your guides. And basically the width and the height of these guys should fit within those boxes. I believe it's 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches. But for the sake of being able to view and to work comfortably, I'm going to first work with this larger and then I'm going to make it smaller. So this is my layer 1 is the layer that has my images. I'm going to lock that layer so I don't move it or manipulate it by accident. I already created a second layer here, but you just do that by creating that icon, clicking on the create new layer icon, and now I'm going to be working on layer 2. I'm going to go over here to my toolbar and I'm going to take the pen tool. Now I already have this set up to red, but I've gone over this in other exercises. If I want to change the color, I could double click the color picker, or I could go up here and I'm going to just leave it at red, and I'm going to start just clicking and dragging around, and I'm going to do this pretty quickly just so that we could I can get my strawberry on here. I'll just click and drag around. Now I also have my color on as a fill. You could start with it as a stroke and no fill and manipulate it the colors however you want. I'm just kind of doing a sort of fast thing, and now I've closed it up. I reached the beginning. Okay, so now I'm going to unselect this or deselect this, taking my control key, clicking outside so it's no longer selected. So now when I take my selection tool again and I'm going to choose a different color, it's not going to be altering the strawberry which was previously selected. So now I'll take something in the greens, click OK, and take my pen tool, and I'll do the same thing with the stem. I'm just going to trace around, and I don't feel like I have to create an exact reproduction of what is there. That's not the point. I'm just using it as a guide essentially. Oh, a bit too much. And just bring it back to where I started. Okay. Not so perfect looking, but I'm just trying to do it very quickly. So as I was painting, I'm going to click on my strawberry again. I just took my regular selection tool, clicked on the strawberry area. If I don't want to see this with a completely opaque, I could go up to my options bar and I could lower the opacity of that. And I also could turn off my strawberry layer underneath, which I highly recommend, so now I can really kind of see what it looks like. If I also find though that the drawing that I have on layer 2 is preventing me from being able to see, now I want to go and kind of trace the little dots in the strawberry, that would be a really good reason. Again, with my selection tool, I'll select the strawberry to lower that opacity way down, and I can always bring this back up again. So now I'm going to change my color so I can get something kind of on the yellowish side. Double click the foreground color and get something kind of yellowish. And this time for the tool that I'm going to use is my paintbrush tool. I could use maybe the little ellipse tool, but it's going to be, I think I want these to look a little bit more natural, like strokes. So I'm going to take the paintbrush tool, I have the color I want, and I'm just going to make some light marks here. I would just go and keep doing this until I get all the ones I want, and I'm not going to fill this in just for the sake of example. I could also do these at a lower opacity as well, so I could start painting them in if I want to have some variation, some at lower colors, so on and so forth. Okay, so let's just say that I'm done. I'm happy with that, but other things that you could do. I'm going to select that strawberry again and bring that opacity back up so we can see it. Other things you could do, you could take the pen tools, you could manipulate the points as we did in the type portraits. You could make some of those curves if you want. And I'm going to turn off the strawberry layer so I can see what my icon looks like. And now, to make sure that I've selected everything, because I want to resize it, with my general selection tool, I'm going to make a selection kind of outside. So just make sure everything has been selected, and I'm going to grab one of the corner points and holding the shift key down to lock the proportions. That's how I resize it. So now if I had my guides up and my rulers and I would be able to easily move this around and to put it, oops, sorry, that was not